So let's do it. Hey everybody, this is Ominous for Ominous Designs on Responsible Gaming, doing episode 130 of Ominous Designs. Tonight, I got one design in mind, and we're gonna kind of try and improvise for the second one. My first design, so the theme is gonna be two for one, buy one get one. I'm gonna mash a couple designs together. This is coming to me via the concept of the following card. I'm slow rolling. There you go. The following card will do something like this. When the name, let's see. Oh, that's interesting. So I can show you. It's a total mess, my Windows installation now. I'm just switching around between Windows installations. So right now you can see my gatherer. I think that was the case last week as well. But it's not so bad because at least now I can make a surprise and boom, here's the text. Except it's not Oblivion Ring. So this card has a little Oblivion Ring effect attached to it, and it says creatures control get +1/+1. Haha! That's the wording on anthems, isn't it? Just get +1/+1, done. Yes, it is. So I think this is gonna cost that many. 5, and I think oh boy, and I think it's going to be I think it's gonna be for exile a creature. So there's a couple knobs we could be turning on this. So one is, do you need it to be costing 5? Can it cost 4? Recently we've seen that anthem effects basically cost 3. If they cost 3, I've seen in Shadow over Innistrad you get actually an extra bonus with always watching that adds vigilance. And a little bit further in the past we've seen anthem effects with a slight restriction that was costing 2. So you can cost your anthem around 2 or 3, between like just about 2.5. An Oblivion Ring effect, if you restrict it to creatures, depending on the block, could be between 2 and 4, I guess. We've seen Oblivion Ring effects for creatures at 2, and we've seen them at 4, but usually it's for permanence. So I think it is costly very reasonably at 5 if you restrict it to creature and you have an anthem effect. Those don't particularly go well together. You can imagine a world where they would complement each other, but usually they don't really, especially at 5, because an anthem card is going to want to be played in a deck with a lot of creatures. Those are usually widespread and low to the ground with a mana curve that kind of tops at 4, I would say. So if I could push it to 4 like this, I would very gladly do so. Now there's a trick that I don't want to use if you want to restrict such anthem effect, is you say something like white creature you control, but it's just kind of a dirty trick. It's not cool. It's kind of admitting that you couldn't balance your own card. At least for my case, I have no particular reason to want to do that, even though the card does feel pretty wide. Something else we could do, but I'm also not a huge fan of doing, is this, kind of making it super white. I don't really love that. I feel like something with 3 pegs need to be extremely emblematic, as recently seen with a I don't remember which angel, very white. and it actually in white it happens extremely rarely. So can this be 4? Can this be 5? Honestly, I'm not sure. I feel like an anthem at 5 basically sucks. The value proposition of combining an all ring effect with an anthem is pretty cool, because you get to remove something that's in your way and then attack with a bigger team. So it might actually make it playable at 5, but like I said, decks that are looking to play an anthem usually really don't like to see a cost of 5. So pretty tricky. As usual, recently, when I'm kind of on the fence, I'm gonna push it, because I know that most of the community I find to be pretty aggressive on the costing. Like I've explained before, I kind of feel like they might even come from a standard environment more than a limited environment, and that makes them want cards to be very aggressive and powerful. That might be why. I mean, if you compare this to this, well, actually it's not true. I was gonna say this guy has nothing on Gideon. It's not as good as Gideon, but it's still pretty impressive. You get your removal and your anthem effect at the same thing. If it was really for 4, that would be pretty darn potent. But I'm gonna try it. And I'll see if people are screaming that this is awesome, or that they're screaming that this should cost 5. I have this kind of cool illustration here that I like. And we're gonna use this, and we're just gonna move on to the next one, because once we've done this design, I decided to go on with the theme of doing mashups, but I don't know what it's gonna be. So let's see. I'm gonna start by getting a color at random. So unfortunately you're not going to be able to see me draw the card. I wish I had a dice, that would be much faster, but so here we go. I'm gonna draw a number and I'm gonna assign it to the Wooberg order, skipping white. So skipping white, that means Uberg, and I just rolled a 3, which is gonna be UBR. We're gonna do red. So it's exciting. A red Oblivion Anthem. How's that? It's probably not going to be the name of the card. So we want to try and mash up effects in red. Effects that are very emblematic of red. That is slightly bothersome because red is actually pretty shallow in terms of identity and emblematic effects. Though, and on the top of my head, I'm already thinking that, for example, land destruction, artifact destruction, direct damage, all of those have actually already been combined in cards. Destroying a land and doing damage has been done. Destroying an artifact and doing damage has been done. Destroying an artifact and a land has been done. We need to go further into some other emblematic effects. So on the top of my head, I have loot / rummage, discard, draw / exile a card you can play in this turn effect, which are nowadays the big staple effect of red. And we have falter effects that say creatures without flying or creatures at all cannot block this turn. That's one thing. If we can't be any smarter, I think direct damage can be combined with one of those, because Well, for two reasons. For one, it's going to be easier doing something that does damage, and one of those effects is going to be much easier for us on the design. And also, it's going to be more obvious that I'm tacking two things together, and it's going to be more emblematic of red if I don't do something completely out there, such as, I wouldn't never do that, but falter effect / you can exile a card and you can play it this turn. It wouldn't really be coherent at all to begin with, and it would be two kind of not as famous red effect tacked together. It's not as coherent and obvious as here is an Oblivion Ring effect and an Anthem effect that are very very important and very significant of white and white effects. So I might end up doing damage if I don't find anything else. Let's take just a second to see if there are any other red effects though. So falter, exile, rummage, AST effects. I mean, you could do like combat trickish with either first strike, double strike, or haste. The problem with that being that I don't really look at including destroy blend, destroy artifact in my combination, because that's going to be kind of weird with very different effects. And if I combine a combat trick with one of the other ones I mentioned, then it's going to be going to be extremely aggressive, right? If I do combat trick like plus X first strike or plus X double strike and direct damage, it's going to be nuts. I could look into doing combat trick and exile a card. You can play it only this turn. It seems to me like that would make for a very weird card though. The good part in the Oblivion Anthem over here is it's not coherent as such, like there's no theme, but it still is very good for your board presence, so it still work well together. You remove a creature on the other side and your creatures are bigger, which is amazing to have at the same time. Yes, I guess that applies to what I was saying about adding damage on an evasion spell. It would also go extremely well together. I'm just a little bit afraid it would go too well together. Let's see if we could do that. Let's see if we can do it anyways, because it would be very emblematic of red, and it would kind of be the exact same thing as this now that I think about it. You would be like, great effect, other great effect, go to town. So, do I have an instant? It might be a sorcery. Could be a sorcery. Yeah, I don't know which one I'm copying, it doesn't matter. So let's say, what's the best though? Falter effects are the problem of falter effects plus direct damage is it's gonna be such a lava axe of sort. You know, it's going to be like, well, all my creatures are going to go through this turn and you're going to take a little bit more damage. That might actually be kind of busted, and well, yeah, it probably will. It probably would, which is a problem. How about, how do we like creatures can't block, and how do we like exile the top card of your deck? You may play it this turn, and let's say Oh, I just thought of a new. I just thought of a new. Emblematic thing we could do is threaten, steal a creature until end of the turn. Okay, so how about this now? I'm gonna get the text of threaten. It's gonna be fun. This should be pretty fun. So do this, and then we do the exile the top card of your library thing. And then I kind of want to do something crazy. Is this the next creature? Actually, I'm not sure how it's gonna be spelled. Nope, that's not it. The next creature. The next time a creature enters the battlefield under your control this turn, the creature gains haste until end of turn. How'd you like that? So this is a massive damage boost. It's gonna need to be something along the lines of, I'm gonna say 5. Because it's an extra card on top of the threaten effect and the haste that it comes with. Well, I don't know. The problem with that is, how about that? That would be a beautiful, you know, etc. Parallel to what I've done, and I could make it a rare because it's going to be very powerful, I think. A couple of reasons for that. One is I want to actually have it do something, right? I want it to be good. Actually, this is still not good, is it? The problem with that is you steal a creature, you get an extra card, but you need to cast that card, and unless you have ramped up to 6 mana, you cannot cast it if it's a creature and you want it to have haste. And I'm talking about like a typical red deck. You want it to be a 1 or 2 drop red, so it's very hard to make work. I mean, the problem with this, like this design, I could go, you know, I could go fine. This is not a constructed playable card unless there is some kind of weird red deck that tops at 6, which is already a disappointment. Like I wish this could be a constructed card. I mean, hell, okay. This is extra. If you're at 6 mana, you get to steal a creature and then cast one of your creature and give it haste, okay? If you're not at 6 mana though, you get a haste, threaten effect, you steal a creature until end of turn, and for 1 extra red mana, you get to have an extra card. And if it's like a burn spell and you're on 5 mana or 6 mana, you can cast the burn spell. If it's a combat trick, you can cast it as well. So it's probably still pretty good. Even if you are going to cast a combat trick or burn spell, though, it is still very expensive for a burn deck. Burn deck is not really supposed to hang out with 5 to 6 mana available. But problem is that I can't really go down. Can we make this work? I mean, there is the obvious like temptation of going all the way down to 3, but I don't think that's possible at all. Threaten is an effect that does exist for 3, and we're tackling on an extra card. Allegedly, that is hard to cast because you're already spending 3 mana and you're in red, and this is a tempo-ish kind of card, a very aggressive kind of card. Like, it would be great if, in the grand scheme of things, if the first effect wasn't steal a creature and try to bash your opponent very temporarily and kill them dead. If it was an actual card, then having an extra card on top of it for almost the same price would be nuts. This turns out to be a card that you play kind of when you want to kill your opponent on the spot and you kind of already curved out and you have nothing else to do. So it makes it a little less ridiculous that we kind of give a card for free, but it's still too good of a rate. I don't think I can justify that. Let's see what's the craziest gain control effect I can find in Magic as far as rares are concerned. Rare, because I think it's going to be a rare if I want to like see how much I can push my threaten. Oh boy, I should have. Okay, I need to ask for a non-creature. Color exclude, and type not creature. Sorry that you can't see this. I'm gonna be describing whatever I see and be quick with it, hopefully. So what do we have? We have disharmony, instant. No, it's not what we want, just for blockers. Fatal Frenzy, no. Where's the gain control? Until end of turn, permanents you control gain. Tap, this permanent deals 1 damage. That's got nothing to do with gain control. Oh, okay, well, it's gonna be too. Okay, we get Harnessed by Force. 1 and 3 red to do a haste effect, and then you can pay 2 in a red for each other target you want to steal. Doesn't really compare with what we're doing, does it? I mean, it kind of does, in the sense that Harnessed by Force can give you 2 creatures, but also remove 2 blockers for 6, and this can give you steal a creature, or remove only 1, and give you an extra 1 with haste if it's a 2 or 3 drop. And on top of that, it can draw you a burn spell or a combat trick. I wonder, I'm weakening to the temptation of, can this actually be acceptable? Can you have with 1 red threaten effect with upside of you get a temporary card, and knowing, like I said, that if that card's cost 1 or 2 you might cast it, otherwise in red it's fine because we're talking about a 6 drop and the effect should actually be very powerful. Like, if you find a 3 drop and you can cast it, you got your threaten effect and your free card, and your draw a 3 drop and draw a 3 drop for virtually 6, but 6 is where you get the major effect. I don't know if I'm very clear with that, but like with Harnessed by Force for 6 you could steal 2 creatures and bash in your opponent's face, so this is not really better per se, even if you draw the 3 mana burn spell or oh god, it could be kind of nuts if you had 2 on top of your deck, huh? And you can like cast them together, but that's just kind of random. So, oh yeah, I wanted to see one more thing. Exile the top card of your library. I'm going to have a quick look at. I think exile the top card of your library is considered a pretty cheap red effect, actually, because I'm remembering the Abbot of Geralt Keep, which is a 2/1 for 2 with prowess, and it gives you a free card. So getting a free card off the top of your library actually is a pretty darn cheap effect. You take a 2/1 prowess for 2, which basically is a common for red, and you add the extra exile card on top of it for free by making the card a rare. Let's see if we have other examples. Ire Shaman. It's kind of a more complicated version of Abbot of Keep, so that's not very relevant. Yeah, actually, there's not that many examples of that. Huh? There's not that many cards that do classic effects and have added on top of them the temporary card kind of thing. But the Abbot of Keep tells you you might get it for basically free, as long as you make your card a rare and you start with a card that's not fantastic. And let's be honest, one red for a threaten effect is not fantastic. It's basically the same as a 2/1 prowess for 2, I think, in power level. Like, most decks will want a lot of creatures, possibly prowess creatures, so that they can be aggressive over a stupid threaten effect. Now if you add the upside, it's a different story. Yeah, I mean, I hope it's not a cop-out. I don't want it to be a cop-out. I know it's pushed, and I'm thinking, I hope this can be acceptable. It would most likely be pretty oppressive in a standard environment if the environment has good burn spells, maybe other good instant and sorceries, like maybe a token producer, or maybe an efficient combat trick. I mean, this could work with a Titan Strength order, like pay 3, reveal a Titan Strength, pay an extra 1 if you have 4 mana, and get an extra 3 damage on top of your threaten effect. Pretty darn potent. If you have a burn spell, most likely it's going to cost 1 and do 2 damage, or it's going to cost 2 and do 3 damage. With nowadays current rate on burn spells, which means threaten and 2 damage for 4, or threaten and 3 damage for 5. Fine enough. And then threaten and a hasty 2-drop for 5, threaten and a hasty 1-drop for 4. It's actually not that crazy. It's going to be good, but it's not that crazy. And keep in mind, again, most aggressive deck don't want to bother with the threaten effect that I know of. I guess the one used to be that the Harness by Force was played, but I don't even remember if he was in an actual aggressive deck, or if he was some side of sideboard tech. So I don't know. I think I might just give that a spin. I mean, today's theme is bundling up 2 effects together, and I'll be honest, for once, I wanted it to be a very good card, potentially constructed playable, as opposed to usually I like to do limited cards. I think This for 5 could be a good limited card, like definitely, like positively. I actually know it's fantastic limited card, but now it might actually be a good constructed card. It probably is. At 4 it probably is. It's either too good or very good. That being said, it actually still needs a white, well, not white, but wide deck to be out there. And this guy in limited actually would be good, probably very good. I mean, there's still a third of a chance that you just get a land. And I wonder if I'm supposed to put cast in there. You can get a land, I guess. But I pushed it so that maybe it constructed playable, because at 4 it most definitely isn't, like, unless there is some sort of absolutely weird mid-range deck. And no, mid-range doesn't want to do a threaten effect. It's the one thing that saves this card, is that the mana discount comes on a card that just can't afford to pay for things. So you're making an extremely good deal to a red deck, but the red deck just needs it. Like, it really needs it for the card to be playable at all. Like, you can't afford to play a 4 or 5 mana threaten unless it's gonna do something great. And some red decks might not even want that. It's because some red decks just don't want to go at 4 or 5 mana. They just don't want to get there. If they get there, they basically have lost their game. And a 3 mana, if you play this on 3, it's pretty bad. If you play this on 4, depending on your deck, it might be good or meh. And if you play this on 5, now most red decks can do something with it. So yeah, cool, very cool. Okay, I feel like I've talked to like a whole lot today. This is how I feel like. I've been kind of scrambling to get my computer working. And I actually haven't really. I've had to switch back to the old Windows, but and I was improvising with this design, but I think it got somewhere pretty interesting. I kind of think I might keep this illustration too, because damn, it is cool for a red card. I don't even know how I managed to have this on a black card to begin with. This is totally a red. Well, I mean, black red, okay, fine. But it looks really cool. Cool. Yeah, I kind of like the idea. You know what? If I don't get anything particularly interesting to do next week, I might keep on making those because they're fun. Try and make a card do 2 typical things. It's fun. This, I'll be honest, feels a little less like 2 typical cards together, because the exile the top card of your library looks a little more like an extra effect. You don't really get a card that does only that, but let's say that it still pretty much follows the theme of the day, and if not whatever, I'm making the rules. So hope you liked it. We will, yeah, potentially make more next week, or do something completely different. Thanks for watching. Do follow and subscribe on all the links that are out there. I'm trying to point on my screen, but it's not gonna work. Yeah, Twitter, Facebook, and etc. As I say all the time, tomorrow is the article on well, I don't have, well, bullseye.com is actually still available, but otherwise you can go on responsiblegmg.com and find all of the links. And I will also be posting on Reddit on Custom Magic subgroup. It's a very cool group. You should check it out. That's it for now. Now I'm telling you, see you next week and have a good time.